brought to you by Bethel School of Technology. Learn more at betheltech.net/Ken Coleman. I don't want to demonize leaders here. I'm not. I'm actually pro-leader.
Yeah.
This is an interesting stat here. Okay. By the way, we get to this conversation because I read an article like this about a year ago where it said managers have more impact on your mental health than anybody else in your life, which is pretty, I was like, yeah, makes sense. Put it out on Instagram, 10 million views.
Blew up. Yeah, that's right.
And I'm going, what?
Yeah.
And if you read the comments, it was like, there's a lot of people going, this is my intimate, specific problem.
Yeah.
So then you go, well, wait a second, what's going on here? Because leaders aren't bad people. And then you see this data. 35% of leaders in a Workforce Institute study reported they're stressed at work, and 42% felt it was because of the stress they put on themselves. So you got this, let's just look at top down here for a second. You got managers. Let's talk middle management is where a lot of this comes from because they end up leading the most amount of people directly. The higher you go up the food chain, it's less people. Okay. So you've got poor middle managers, and I think they're the victims here. They're not being trained properly. I'm giving you real data. They don't have the staff to pull off everything they're being asked to pull off. So they don't have resources. Right. Real
There's a group
resources.
of people in a room that are totally disconnected from the front
100%
line.
said, get this done.
Right. Like,
and they fear for their livelihood, John.
Yeah.
Is there anything more primal fear than if I lose my job?
Right.
It's a primal fear.
And you put on top of that these insanely indebted lives that we have. And so if I lose this, I lose my house, I lose my car, I lose my food.
One paycheck and their life unravels.
Yeah.
Then there's the psychology data, which you know all too well, that losing a job, whether you're laid off as a part of a big corporate thing, so it's not personal.
Right.
Ken, you did something stupid, you're fired.
Yeah.
Or fired for something you did, or a personality conflict, that it has the same effect of losing a loved one.
Yeah.
So you take all that, and we inherently know this, right? We know this. We kind of like protect. So what do? You say yes, you buckle down, and then you're going to buckle under the pressure.
Well, and
these
then
numbers,
someone knocks on your door and says, hey, I have a comfort lizard. I need so I can do my Excel. And you're like, okay.
Well, then there's just people.
Yeah, right. Then you got people, right?
So long setup here. So it feels to me, John, that the stress coming from our managers is also trickling down to us. Wouldn't you say that's true?
What's that?
It's true in the home, isn't it? Between
adage,
parents,
hurt people, right?
That's it.
And so exhausted people exhaust people.
So I'm not giving leaders a break, but I think there needs to be a good dose of empathy to go, man, my leader's pants are on fire, and thus it makes it feel like my pants are on fire.
And as multiple businesses go, get sold and get publicly traded and get absorbed, there's this growing cloud of external pressure that's totally detached from reality. And the expectations are just astounding.
All right, so one more piece of data, and then let's dig.
Okay.
So that leads to 71% of workers saying stress at work is negatively impacting their home life.
Yeah.
So
it's just chicken or the egg.
So
just
now
a
we're
loop-de-loop. Yeah.
Well, my point is, I think that we're making is it's coming from all sides.
It is. That's it. And then there's people working in jobs that should not be having to carry a cell phone 365. That have to carry a cell phone 365 simply because you have to be available when I text you or call you.
Right. So let's dive into this.
Yeah, it's madness.
So we've really unpacked the problem. So my thinking, John, and push back on this or offer a counter. I think at some point leaders have got to realize that the person they've got to most take care of is themselves first.
Yes, I have to lead me first.
They've got to make sure they're okay.
It's the old oxygen mask thing. If I'm not all right, there's no way I can't give what I don't have.
Right.
I can't take care of the people that my company's entrusted to me.
Yeah.
And by extension, their spouses, their kids.
Yeah.
If I'm not okay. Yeah. That's my job.
So let's talk about the real.
Okay.
Because I've never dove into this with you, and I want to.
Let's do it.
I want to see if we can figure out what does a person do, a woman, a man, who is in the situation we've been talking about. Okay, Ken, John, yes, I know I need to take care of me, but I'm getting a whole lot of crap above me. I don't want to lose my job.
Yep.
I don't want to confront this thing in the wrong way. I don't think I can. I've raised my hand. They're not changing it. You get to start to see how people feel helpless, don't you?
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, totally.
All right. So what do we coach that person to do? you take the first step?
This weekend I was in New Mexico, and I got to see some old friends that I knew from college, 20, 30 years ago. I'd seen them. And it was a fun time to catch up. And one of my buddies, she was a really extraordinary occupational therapist. And we knew it back then. She was way smarter than all of us. And she said over the last 15 or 20 years, the job went from 75%. She did in-home care with pediatrics, with children. 75% working with people. And then you sit in the parking lot at your laptop and you do paperwork.
Yep.
Over 20 years, it flipped. 75% of her job was filling out stupid forms and insurance this, rejecting this, fighting this company who's just designed to tell you, like all that. 25% working with kids. And so she started nickel and diming her way towards what she loved about her previous career, which was sitting with people.
Yeah.
And now she's a licensed therapist with her own practice, and she's got a wait list.
Right.
And so she chose over time to say, if this is what I can't control, which is all these forms, all these paperwork, I'm not going to, I love your analogy. I'm not going to jump off the dock without a boat there, but I'm going to begin planning for a new world. Yeah. And I think that's just owning reality.
Yeah. I think that's right.
This is not going to change.
I think that's right. And you got to get to a point where you realize I'm in a matrix and I got one option if I want to change it.
That's right.
Get out.
Get out. Yeah.
And that takes some time.
Takes time.
Financially.
Planning, retraining, all those things.
Being very, very, very patient. But John, I think that I'm going to come back to what you said because what I'm hearing and what I'm learning in this moment, because I'm always thinking about it from the work context, and that's why I wanted you on today, because you're thinking about it from the relationship and kind of that personal context. It feels like our advice to these people should also be, then make every positive change you can make in your personal life, to which gives you a little bit more bandwidth for the negative stress at the office.
Correct.
If I can't change it at the office, I can change my eating habits. I can change my sleeping habits. I can change my exercise habits. I can change my relationship issues.
I can sit with my kids and say, I'm sorry.
That's my point. I can control that.
Yes.
So what we're creating then there, John, is I'm guessing we're going to create enough margin so that when I go in,
yes,
I can deal. I have enough bandwidth to deal with what I have to deal with, knowing that I'm not here for the next 30 years.
That's right.
I may be here for a year. I may be here for 6 months, but I am on my way out. It feels like that is the only option for a person, not to just go, I'm melting down and I can't deal with this anymore, or I give up.
I had someone,
those are the two things I see.
Call into my show today, and it wasn't about work, but he had gone to the police academy. He moved his family across the country. He went to the police academy, had a heat stroke. And he was talking about wanting to provide and do all this, and I stopped him and said, hey, if you choose police officer, you're choosing less of a salary.
That's right.
You're choosing a job where people are going to shoot at you.
Yes.
That's the job you chose. Yeah. So you and your wife have to decide, what kind of life do we want at home given this job I've chosen? And let's create that. And that's going to be different for all of us. When I was working in education, I was on call 24/7, 365. That meant that my wife and I had to sit down and create, and we did this sometimes well and sometimes incredibly terrible. It almost cost me my marriage several times. What do we want our life to look like, knowing that stupid box could always ring? And because I carry that box in my direct deposit, it's a good number. And so that gives us this life, but that costs us that.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And we have to have that real conversation. And then we have to decide, do we want to keep doing this for the rest of our life? Yeah. And at some point we do, at some point we don't. But that's just choosing reality and deciding. I love what you said. Got to create enough space. And I can't blame my boss for me not changing the way I eat.
I agree with that.
And I can't blame my boss for me not, saying I don't have time to lift weights. I do. I do. Yeah. And I have a small gym that I bought off Craigslist in my garage. You can figure it out. Yeah. And we as a society have to stop outsourcing all of our drama to everybody else and say, what can I own? I'm going to take it.
Launch your tech career today at betheltech.net/Ken Coleman.